Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, from St. Paul, Minnesota, and the U.S. Men's National Team World Cup qualifying training camp. Today we'll be joined by midfielder Weston McKennie and head coach Gregg Berhalter. As we get started, just a couple notes. If you'd like to get in the queue to ask a question, you may do so by virtually raising your hand. Also, for those in Minnesota, there are a limited number of tickets available still for the match. Visit ussoccer.com. And as we get started, we'll begin with Stephen Goff from the Washington Post.
Hey, Weston, thanks for your time. What do you think needs to change to get this team going offensively and start scoring some goals again? Thanks.
I think in our opinion, we just want to try and create as many opportunities as we can, and I think in the past games we've created some chances, not as many as we would like, and also I think we just want to be more effective and follow our game plan, because the game plan that we have, when it's executed correctly, we create a lot of chances, and we've seen that in the past as well with games that we've played. It's just the past two games that we struggled a bit, and that's football, and it's very unpredictable. And whenever you have teams that sit back and play a low block and have 6 guys on a line at a time, it's very hard to break it down, no matter the team. So we definitely we'll analyze Honduras and find the best possible way to break them down and get a lot more goal-scoring opportunities.
Next will be Paul Tenorio from The Athletic.
Thanks, Michael. Weston, obviously it's a really, really tight race in the top 4 in CONCACAF to get to the World Cup. 1 point ahead right now with Panama in 4th place. Puts even more importance on these home games. How much are you guys leaning into kind of the must-win nature of playing at home against Honduras tomorrow night, and understanding that you might be just 2 wins away from getting to Qatar, and what that means?
I think we kind of have that mentality for all the games that we play, honestly. I mean, we know that our goal is to get to Qatar, and we know that we have to win as many games as possible to get there. And I think that we've always had a must-win mentality. We're not a team that, will speak before a game and say, let's look for a tie or let's look for a draw. It's, we win or we don't. Or, I mean, a tie is better than losing, but, we always have a winning mentality that we want to have. And, it doesn't work out all the time. And we know that it maybe not work out every time, but that's our approach to every game. And that's the way we know that we get to Qatar. So, the next game against Honduras, I think we have the same mentality, and I think preparation is key, and game plan and execution. So I think that's how it's going to work.
We'll go to Doug McIntyre from Fox.
Thanks, Michael. Weston, just kind of following up on that, you know how important those 3 points are tomorrow. You're playing against an opponent that's already been eliminated. How much pressure do you feel inside the group, to know that you can't afford to slip up tomorrow? Thank you.
I mean, the pressure is there automatically, but I think we don't really let it try and get to us, because, I think we're at our best when, we have fun with the game and we enjoy it, and, we, play the way that we know that we can. And, whenever there's pressure involved, it's not so much as like a mental, doesn't have a big mental effect on us. I feel like I think we just have one mindset, and we just want to enjoy the game and play, as if we're kids on a field back when we were younger, and just enjoy the game. I think that's when we're at our best.
Next would be Grant Wall.
Hey, Wes, it's good to see you. What's the mood like right now inside the team since the Canada game, and the last two games were cold, but this is next level cold tomorrow night. We're talking like below zero and wind chills that are pretty crazy. How are you feeling about that?
I mean, obviously it's going to be cold, and I think that's I think every sport team, maybe besides basketball and indoor sports, has probably played in a game like this. And we don't control the weather, so I think it's something that we just adapt to, and we play it just like any other game, and we try to have the same result and win. Obviously, the weather will take the right gear, and we'll wear Under Armours, and we'll wear whatever we have to wear. But I think at the same time, we don't want to focus too much on the weather. We want to just get out there and get the job done.
Next will be Ron Blum from the Associated Press.
Hey, Weston. Since we haven't spoken to you in a while, wanted to get your side of what went on in September and how that played out and the way you saw things happen.
I think it was just a learning lesson, obviously. I think as I went back, it was just important for me to put my head down and work. And, Juventus definitely helped me out with that a lot. And, I struggled for a bit, lost some of my confidence. And like I said, it was a learning lesson. I felt like I had let my team down and let my country down and my family and myself. So, whenever I got called back in, it was just to try and rebuild, the relationships and the trust with everyone and just perform and show that I'm there for the team and that I'm there to try and win. And so I think the best thing as a person to do is be available. So I think that was my biggest thing is just to be available and not, have a situation like that again. So
We'll go to Jeff Carlisle from ESPN FC.
Thanks, Michael. Hi, Wes. You mentioned earlier that the difficulty of breaking down a low block. How, because of that, how much importance is on really taking advantage of your opportunities in transition, and how do you think you guys have performed in those moments of late?
Obviously, it's very important whenever you have a team in a low block and they're playing out of the back or you win a ball. It's very important, for the transition. I think that's something that we could improve on, and take advantage of, and create our opportunities out of that because we're a young team. We're a team that can run. We're a team that loves to press. We're a team that is most effective and create a lot of our chances from winning balls, and pressuring and going straight to goal. I think we kind of held back on that these past two games and didn't use it to its full ability, I guess, and being effective in the final third and scoring the goals and the opportunities that we get. If it is one or two times a game, I think it's very important to like you said, be effective.
Next will be Sam Stejskal.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Wes. Appreciate you doing this. Gregg has mentioned in previous press conferences that he sees the cold weather that you're going to be dealing with tomorrow as something that could be an advantage for you guys over Honduras. Obviously, you have to deal with it either way. They have to deal with it either way. But do you see the cold as an advantage for you guys against an opponent that may not be as used to chilly temperatures?
I think it depends on the player, honestly. I think the federation tries to pick the best places for us to have an advantage and over our opponents, and whether that's weather, whether that's fan base, whether that's a lot of things. So I think obviously probably the players on the U.S. team are more accustomed and more used to playing in colder weather than the Honduras players. So I think we're going to try and use it to the best of our ability, and hopefully, it does work to our advantage, and, we'll just see how it plays out. But I think we're prepared for it. I think we're kind of used to it with the past 2 games that we've played in as well. So, yeah.
Next will be Jonathan Tannenwald from the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Thanks, Michael, and thanks again, Weston, for the time. The question is about Christian and what you've seen of him the last 2 games. I think the outside perspective to some degree is that he hasn't been at his best, hasn't been at his most decisive in contributions and attacking in particular. And we heard some of the remarks that he said before the game started. I'm sure you did too. And I know you know him really well. I wonder what you've seen of him in this time that you've been together in this camp.
I think, it's a lot of people will say what they want. A lot of people has their own opinions, and I think as a player, you can only truly understand what another player might think or what he's going through. All of us have had our ups and downs. All of us have had difficult times. The most important thing is that we're there for each other, and obviously with the situation that he's in and maybe amount of playing time that's involved is just catching his footing again and building his confidence. But I think in general he's still an important piece because he's one of those type of players that he might have one spark in a game. He could maybe not do anything all game and then have one spark. He's one of those players very unpredictable to the opponents, and I think he's just someone that adds another type of dangerous and one-on-one ability in the final third. So, everyone's going to have their opinions. Everyone's going to say what they want to say. But, the team here and the staff, we all have his back, and we all, just want to put him in the best position to succeed.
We'll take 2 more questions for Wes and begin with Daniel Nora from Univision.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, Wes. Thank you for doing this. With this weather, not only us, but the ball gets colder too. How does affect the game? The fact that the ball is different, and how can you describe the challenge of maybe taking set pieces, going to headers? It's too different to a normal game.
I mean, I have a pretty big head, so I don't think it'll really affect the way I head the ball. But I think. Depends, honestly. I mean, the ball obviously will feel harder maybe to kick, but all in all, like I said, we've all played in if not same or similar conditions as it is now. It's the same when it rains and it's cold. The ball hurts to kick, but I think we're prepared, and that's why we've played in 2 cold places previously before this game. So I think we're kind of used to it now. And I think we've adapted well, and I think we'll be prepared.
Last question from Ryan Talmadge from Goal.com.
Hey, Weston. Obviously, in recent months and weeks, you've kind of found your footing at Juve under Allegri and figured out your role and started playing better, scoring goals and everything like that. And obviously, it's 2 different teams and different systems and roles and different players around you. But what are some of the things that you can adapt from what you've been doing at Juve to the U.S.? And what are some of the things with the U.S. that you've been able to kind of adapt to what you've been doing at Juve?
I think in general, I mean, for me, I kind of take things that I learned in Juve, bring here, and the things that I learned here, I take back. For me, I have one kind of like a mentality. I think a mentality thing is the biggest thing for me as far as, whenever I come into camp or whenever I'm at Juve, is just to try and work hard and to try and, give my best for the team. I don't think I really, take anything from the training sessions that I do in Juve and bring here. And I think the biggest things for me coming into camp and going back home is just to be able to take the level of confidence that I've built in Juve, or the level of confidence that I've maybe gained by coming into camp and using it to the full ability whenever I go to either place. But as far as mentality-wise and everything, I'm pretty the same in both places. I don't change that much, I don't feel like.
Thank you very much, Wes. We'll be right back with Gregg Berhalter. And we are back with the head coach of the U.S. men's national team, Gregg Berhalter. We will begin with questions and start with Sam Staskell from The Athletic.
Thanks, Michael. Thanks, Gregg. After the match Sunday, you were pretty strong in your comments and your belief that you guys controlled and dominated some facets of the game. Also, you pointed out a few more areas that needed improvement: chance creation, taking advantage of transition opportunities. I'm sure you've had a chance to watch it back. I'm curious if you still feel similarly to how you felt to when you spoke to us on Sunday, or if anything stuck out new in a positive or negative way on a rewatch.
No, I mean, I think watching the game back, confirmed what I was talking about. We were bitterly disappointed with the loss, but happy with the effort, and think there was more in that game. We could have gotten more out of the game. It was watching it back. I think the one thing I was noticing was Canada was in a very low block, 10 guys behind the ball. It was very difficult to break down. Man-orientated defending. And it became complicated. There was less space between the lines because there were no lines at times with their back six at times, and it became challenging. But for us, I think giving up the goal in that way wasn't great. That was an area that we could have improved on. And then again, reasserting that there was moments in and around the penalty box where we could have been more clinical with our passing, with our crossing, and then the offensive transition should have been better. The moments that they were open and they were coming, we could have taken advantage of that in a better way. But again, pleased with the effort of the group, pleased with the intensity. The numbers in the game, said a lot. But unfortunately, we didn't get any points out of the game. Looking forward, in terms of the big picture, we win this next game and we can keep our hold of second place. And that was our goal coming into this round, to maintain second place, and we're in position to do that.
Next will be Paul Kennedy from Soccer America.
Thank you, Gregg. You'll be playing Honduras, which is now eliminated. It's lost a bunch of games in a row. At the same time, they rotated most of their team from the last game and have Albert Elise back, who didn't face you in October. Or in September, sorry. Speak a little bit of Honduras and what a tricky game this is for you guys to face.
Yeah, I mean, you could make the argument that now they're playing free, they're relaxed because they're officially eliminated, and it's a dangerous opponent. We know in World Cup qualifying every opponent is difficult. I don't think they've been as bad as the results have shown. Their expected goals numbers is really high. They should be scoring more than they have been. So I think it's a tricky team. You mentioned Albert Elise, very good transition player, dominant in offensive transition, good in and around the penalty box. He's good on crosses. Kyoto, we know him as well, very, very good player. Lozano, good player. So they're going to be tricky. And for us, it's about how do we keep the tempo high, how do we wear them down, and then and score goals to win the game.
Next will be Jerry Zagota from the Star Tribune.
I know you don't train until later this afternoon, but have you been able to get down either yesterday or today to look at the pitch or get any reports about how it's going to play as the temperatures continue to drop here?
Yeah, we'll figure that out when we get over to the stadium. All reports have been that the pitch is in very good condition.
Next will be Stephen Goff from the Washington Post.
Given the issues you've confronted against Canada, what are your instruction to players when they're in situations where you have the ball 30, 35 yards from the goal and there's a low block there? What kind of instruction do you give now?
I mean, that's the hardest thing to do in soccer, Stephen, right? We know that. And part of our instruction is, can we penetrate on the strong side? Can we get behind them on the strong side? If not, how do we switch field quickly to get behind them on that side? Then when you can't do that, what type of balls are you putting into the penalty box? What type of crosses are you looking to put in? And do you have runners? And then as that whole thing is happening, are you well balanced that you can take advantage of any balls that come out to the top of the penalty box, that you can be winning those balls? So it's an exercise that we need to keep working on. Most teams struggle with that. But we'll keep going.
Next will be Grant Wall.
Hey, Gregg. Eunice and Christian haven't had a chance to play that many games together, and I'm wondering if you think Eunice not being as impactful in the attack the last couple of games is connected to him still figuring things out with Christian or even deferring to him? And if so, how do you get them to figure things out quickly?
I haven't related those two things together. Eunice was playing on the right side in the game. Christian was playing on the left side yesterday, so I haven't connected that relationship. We know Eunice isn't necessarily a player that's extremely goal dangerous, but that doesn't mean he's not effective and he doesn't do things that lead to goal opportunities. And in the El Salvador game, he had a very good chance. He's shown against Costa Rica and Jamaica that he can attract players and create space for other players as well. He's very good on the dribble. He's very good taking space on the dribble. So he has a huge upside, a huge skill set that can really help our team be successful. And regarding Christian, he was very tightly marked in the game. I still thought he found some space at times to be effective, drawing players to him. He got fouled a number of times in good positions. He laid some balls off. The pass he gave to Anthony Robinson was a great pass behind the line that unfortunately the cross didn't arrive in the right position. But he still has a way to affect the game even when he's marked.
We'll go to Doug McIntyre from Fox.
Thanks, Michael. Gregg, you talked about the effort against Canada. Given how important it is to get the 3 points tomorrow, how much extra urgency, desperation do you expect to see from your team, or do you want to see from your team tomorrow? Thank you.
Listen, I think we go out and we play hard and we play to win the game. That's the message to the team. It's not time to panic. Other teams have been through this. We've been through it before, and we just stick to the process and play hard, compete, move the ball fast, try to get the ball in the penalty box as quickly as possible. We talked about stretching the team, getting behind them, and that's our formula. Defensively, we've been solid throughout this tournament, and we'll continue to do so.
Next will be Jeff Carlisle from ESPN FC.
Thanks, Michael. Hey, Gregg.
Hey, Jeff.
When Tyler Adams isn't on the field, how much do you have to tweak things, if at all? Because it seems like just his ability to cover ground gives you something special and really helps you out a lot defensively.
Yeah, defensively, he's an absolute all-star. The plays he makes defensively are unbelievable, and he showed that in the game against Canada. So, we'll miss that for sure. With players that we have, we feel like we have guys that can cover ground and win duels, so we'll put someone in there that can do that as well.
Next will be Paul Tenorio.
Thanks, Michael. Gregg, kind of building on that, with Tyler out, considering the vulnerabilities maybe of Honduras giving up 19 goals, home field advantage, the need to get 3 points, the discussion around Christian trying to unlock him a little bit more, is there consideration to moving Christian inside and maybe bringing on another attack-oriented winger and be a little bit more attack-minded, or do you feel like changing things that much, is a little bit too risky, considering the stakes in the game, and a more like-for-like switch for Tyler would be, the better route to avoid too much change? Thank you.
I think we always have to take the opponent into consideration, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, and try to play a way that's going to hurt them. And with Honduras, we see some clear strengths and weaknesses. And, one of their strengths is offensive transition, so we need to be well balanced. There's a consideration. Christian moved to the 10 spot in the last minutes of the Canada game. He was able to be a little bit more central. But we'll see. I think it's something that we're still working through. We'll go on the training field today and see how it looks.
We'll go to Ivis Galarcep from SBI Soccer.
Gregg, after the match, you said that Walker should be okay for this game. What's the latest as far as Walker Zimmerman goes? And as far as two guys who had some rough moments against Canada, Matt Turner and Miles Robinson, two guys who had unbelievable second halves of 2021. It's kind of the first adversity they're facing with the national team. What do you think about what they went through, and how do you kind of see them getting through that first kind of taste of national team adversity?
Yeah, the national team is a different level, right? And it's understanding, what it's about. If you think about the amount of pressure that the teams are under, that individuals are under, it's a different level. And all we can do is control what we can control, and that's how we're working and how we're learning and how we're improving. So for those two players in particular, it was great. I had conversations with both of them, and we unpacked their performance, and I'm confident that they're going to get it right. Matt is a guy that hasn't made too many mistakes in the USA jersey, right? And Miles the same thing. So I think as Miles gets some rhythm, he'll be just fine. Regarding Walker, we're going to get on the training field today and see what he can do. I'm positive about the outlook, but we'll see it today on the training field.
Next will be Ron Blum from the Associated Press.
Hi, Greg. Thanks for this.
Yep.
Does, at this point in the schedule, the pressure to win the last two home games change the mindset at all, that even though it's always to win, and because of the increase in pressure this late, is there anything you do or say to alleviate it on the guys?
I think you put the players at ease by working in a similar way. You take the emotion out of it, you analyze the game, analyze what we could have done better against Canada, and come up with a game plan for Honduras, and you go from there. I think the guys, preparation breeds confidence, and preparing them the best way we can for what this game's going to look like is important. But as far as we're concerned, it's, we go do our thing. We've been very strong at home, very dominant at home with our performances, and we want to continue that.
We'll take two more questions for Gregg and continue with Daniel Nora from Univision.
Thank you, Michael. Hi, Greg. Hope you're doing well.
Thanks, Dan.
In the number 9 position, do you see at some point Team Wea having minutes as a 9 in this team? Do you see that possible?
Tim's been really effective on the wing. Think about what he's done in these last qualifiers. So he set up a goal against Mexico, scored a goal against Jamaica, set up a goal against El Salvador. So he's been a really bright spot for us on the wing, and it hasn't crossed our minds to continue to change that. One thing we know is Tim likes space. He likes to have space behind him. If you think about a game like Canada where there was very little space behind for the striker, I'm not sure that would have suited him that well anyway. But Tim's been doing great, a really bright spot in our attack.
Last question will be Avi Creditor from Sports Illustrated.
Thanks, Michael. Hey, Greg. Just back to Tyler real quick. Do you have a sense of the severity of this injury? Is this something that could bleed over into the March window, or something that could come down to the wire for him?
From the initial diagnosis, it's not that severe. It will certainly hold him out of this game on Wednesday, but it's not that severe that he'll be out for a long time. The goal is to get him, back on the field at Leipzig as soon as possible, and we're extremely optimistic about the March window.
Thank you, Gregg. Thanks for joining us. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll see you tomorrow night.